Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Buff Breakdown. And yeah, Valentine's pre-campaigns continue as we got another batch of buffs. Yes, plural buffs. So today we got some prior Valentine's servants being buffed. First of all, as you could see, we got Archer Sei Shonagon with a skill buff and Caster Murasaki with a skill buff as well. Very exciting stuff here. Let's just jump right into covering Sei's buff first, I think. Yeah, let's do that. So it's a buff to her second skill, her defensive skill if you will. Now, it used to be on a 6-turn cooldown, you got a 3-time 3-turn evade for herself and a 3-time 3-turn crit damage buff for herself, and the crit damage scaled up to 30%. Now, obviously, the evade part is really good, really strong, flexible, you know, easy to use. So yeah, that's defensive wise, the skill was always pretty solid in my opinion, even if it's just an evade right there. But then the crit part was like, you know, only 3 crits and then it's gone and it's only 30%. Definitely too little, especially for an SSR. It should be a minimum 50% if they were going to keep it 3 times 3 turns. But yeah, it's just a small bonus if anything. And her being a quick archer means that, you know, it's pretty easy to crit on her anyway. 1, she generates a lot of stars compared to, you know, other card types. And 2, archers have a good natural star absorb. So yeah, it was never too hard to crit on her. It's just you couldn't really do too much with this, sadly. But let's see what they did. So now on the same 6-turn cooldown, the evade remains the same, but then they changed a little bit of the things. First of all, the crit damage is now flat 3 turns instead of 3 times 3 turns. It's a shame it's still a 30%. I think they could have still made it a 50% even on 3 turns flat. But, you know, it's still definitely an improvement. And then they added one new line, which, you know, you guessed it, it's a battery, and it is a 30% battery for self, as you can see. Now, first of all, the crit damage, again, is nice, because, you know, being only able to crit 3 times in 3 turns with the increased damage was pretty lame, with, you know, not a high number to begin with. So now it's a bit better. Not a huge difference in my opinion, but, you know, definitely better. And then with the battery, this is where things might get a bit interesting, because her looping was in terms of farming, like, so not good that we didn't even have her placed on the looping sheet that I've been using for a good while now. She's not even in here, as you can see on the quick archers. But this might just give her a spot there. Now, I doubt she's gonna be able to do anything like Black Grail stuff, of course. So don't get your hopes up too much if you're a big Sei fan. But with this, she could at least hopefully do maybe 50% starting gauge looping. Obviously with a super scope it wouldn't be very pretty to begin with, but yeah, we'll see. Obviously we're gonna have to run the numbers on that and whatnot, but yeah, maybe you can finally do a bit better farming on Sei as well for those interested. I'll obviously link the looping sheet down below as well when the numbers do arrive, so you can check it later. Very cool. Now, in my opinion, I still would, without even seeing the numbers yet or what she can do in terms of farming, I doubt she's going to be a good farmer. So I would just, you know, keep her relegated to a DPS position instead, which is obviously completely fine. And, you know, this will make her better. But honestly, to me, it's a minor buff. It won't really change too much things in the grand scheme of things. But hey, for you Sei fans out there, hey, they finally buffed her. I mean, she was never like bad to begin with, but never really like top tier. Not even close. Now let's talk about the Murasaki caster. Now her summer version is already really good. In fact, they buffed her, which was crazy. So she's basically a top tier single target rider. But caster was never really, she's honestly, in my opinion, she's underrated. But she's never been like, you know, the talk of the town. Or even when I say she's underrated, I don't think she's like amazing or anything like that. But she certainly has a lot of use cases. And this will definitely add to those special use cases with this buff. So let's see what we're working with here. So her third skill, it's actually not a bad skill even before this buff. So on a 5-turn cooldown, your full party got a 1000 damage cut for 3 times 3 turns. Now that's not nothing. That will definitely reduce the damage you're taking by a significant amount. And then your full party also gets a 1-time 3-turn debuff immune, which again, always nice to have in case you need it for like certain bosses. And then I feel like the biggest thing is the final one, which is the 100% buff removal resistance for the full party for 1 time 3 turns. Now, obviously, she's not the only servant that has party-wide buff removal resistance, but I feel like hers is one of the best ones because, for instance, I believe Benyenma only gives it for 1 turn flat on her skill, whereas Murasaki's 1 time 3 turns. Now, obviously, if the enemy has like multiple buff removals in 1 turn, the Benyenma one might be better, but honestly, for the most part, I feel like this will be the better version of the effect, which is, you know, very flexible with that 3-turn uptime. So honestly, I always thought of this as a very solid defensive skill as is. I don't think they really needed to buff this, if anything, but decided to add the buff to this skill, interestingly enough. So let's see what we're working with here. Now, much to not my surprise, again, they didn't really change anything at all because, again, like I said, the skill was always good. They didn't really need to change anything, so they added just 2 lines. They added 2 power mods. And they're much like all the previous effects, they are all AoE. So now, also for your party for 3 turns, your full party gets 30% anti-chaotic alignment damage mod, and also 30% for 3 turns anti-good alignment damage mod. Very interesting. So honestly, now this skill is pretty freaking cracked. So 5 turns, you get 5 team-wide effects that all have durations upwards to 3 turns, and they're all nice. Like, wow, this is a pretty insanely cracked support skill. Like, giga value in one. Now, I did a bit of research before this video, and I went through all the alignment charts and whatnot, and I only accounted for assassins and berserkers. So to give you an idea of how much this helps herself, obviously this is not even talking about the team aspect for herself, as she is a DPS caster. There are a total of 20 chaotic assassins in the game. Not a bad number. And also 19 chaotic berserkers. Also a very solid number. And then on the good side, we have 10 good alignment assassins and 11 good alignment berserkers. And best of all, there are 10 chaotic good assassins and 4 chaotic good berserkers. So there's even like the best case scenarios, because these are separate damage mods. Thank God they didn't combine them into one, so this is way more versatile now. So you can actually find some use cases where both of these will be active. And again, that's just for herself as a caster. Now, honestly, I think there might be some legit arguments of bringing Murasaki as a niche support. I'm not even joking. This could actually give her a nice new use case. Now, obviously, she even had a bit of that in the first place, mostly via the buff removal resistance, which is nice and flexible. But with this, there are going to be other cases for you to bring her as well. Now, obviously, farming wise, because it's most normal enemies don't even have alignment, so this is mostly anti-servant. So farming wise, probably much will not change for herself. But again, maybe even some multi-core stuff. You never know, because again, these are all AoE effects with the damage mods too. Like it is a very interesting buff. But yeah, this skill is just on a 5-turn cooldown. Are you kidding me? This has to be like one of the best defensive skills. Well, now also offensive skills in the game. So yeah, needless to say, this is a pretty ridiculous skill now, all things considered. Now, again, I don't have the tier lists right now for both Sei and Murasaki because on my new PC, the cache was on my old one, so I lost them. But again, either starting this week or next week, we're going to start doing the yearly tier list, so you don't have to wait for too long for us to talk about all your favorite servants, including these 2. So there you go. As a recap, Sei's buff, I think, is a very minor one. It fixes the awkward crit, but still doesn't make it, like, very insane, in my opinion. Just, okay. And then the battery might give her a better farming setup. We'll have to wait until later, but I seriously doubt it's going to be anything really good anyway. So only a minor tweak, if anything, sadly. But, it's her first buff. You gotta start somewhere. And then Murasaki caster with a very interesting buff that I would think will definitely serve her well for both her own DPSing, farming, and even some niche supporting. I honestly think she will be seeing some play like that as well after this. But hey, very, very nice. I like this buff quite a bit. So if you enjoyed this video, do be a solid and press the thumbs up button, okay? Really helps out. Again, stay tuned to not miss out on the yearly tier list starting this month. So subscribe to not to miss out on any of that. If you're rolling for any of these servants or the other banners that are up, good luck. And I hope to see you in the next video. Take care and peace out.